So I think I just became a chartered accountant. I started my accounting career 5 years ago, just before the dreaded pandemic hit and swept across the world.
Coronavirus! Coronavirus!
During that time, I had many ups and downs, but one of my most proudest achievements to date has been completing my ACCA qualification. A qualification which I took 3 years for. I had no shortcuts, no easy road. I sat all my exams, didn't claim any exemptions, and I completed all my time as well. And now I'm a fully fledged member of the ACCA. Over the last 5 years, I've worked at large accounting firms, small accounting firms, and now I'm about to take a big step out of practice and into industry. And I thought, what better time to acknowledge my accomplishments so far than right now, just before I move up into a managerial role, multi-billion-dollar company. One of the best things that I've done so far, and one of the hardest struggles I've had, was in December 2023. I sat 2 exams at the same time. Now, a lot of people might have done the same. A lot of you might be doing multiple exams in multiple windows all the time. But for me, this was a struggle. I'm someone who struggles a lot with managing my time and managing my work-life schedule. So committing to 2 big exams with advanced tax and strategic business leadership, it was quite an ordeal. And I am more than happy to talk you through what struggles I had, how I overcame them, and that hopefully you can glean any bit of information from this that you can to help you on your ACCA journey too. I was meant to sit my final tax exam, the advanced tax paper, in September of 2023. I'd woken up bright-eyed, prepared to sit my exam. I'd booked an afternoon sitting from home, which I felt comfortable, and I was able to do a bit of studying in the morning. The time to sit the exam came around, and I had my laptop open, ready to start. Got into the exam software, speaking to one of the proctors, and nothing worked. Huh? There were no technical issues leading up to the exam. However, when it came time to actually sit the exam, all of a sudden, everything decided not to work.
Nothing works here. Nothing works here.
One of my main issues was that my webcam was not connecting to the proctor system anymore. This meant that I was struggling with technical issues and they could not put me through the exam. Because of this reason, I couldn't sit the exam. Suddenly, I was hit with this overwhelming dread. Hearing that I couldn't sit the exam not only stressed me out, but it put me in a situation where the only other option in my head was to perhaps sit it in December. Luckily for me, the ACCA were able to refund it, and they were able to reorganize the booking. However, this was a day after my SPL exam would be sat, which now meant that I would have to sit both exams within a day period. Knowing that I'd already stressed after not sitting my exam and knowing that I would have to sit 2 in a row, I decided to take some time off mentally and relax. I played games, I went to the gym. Forcing myself to relax is almost as hard as forcing yourself to study. You know in the back of your head that there is something else you have to do or want to do that just forces you to not fully concentrate on what you're doing at the time. That aspect of burnout affects a lot of people. After taking some time off of my studies while I was still working, I got to a point where I realized I had to start studying again. for my SBL, or I was going to set myself up for failure. In the meantime, also having in the back of my head that I needed to reteach myself aspects of advanced taxation that maybe I'd forgotten during this period where I was forcing myself to step off the gas, to let my brain catch up and get rid of this burnout. Like a lot of other accountants, especially who are doing apprenticeships, I was studying while also having a full-time job. December is a very busy season for where I work, so learning to juggle tight deadlines around my work along with these approaching exams became very, very stressful. I began to hit the books, started grinding again, once again working full-time. During busy season, the stress of work and having 2 exams slowly started creeping back into my brain and my psyche. I had planned ahead though. I'd booked 2 weeks off prior to the exam to give myself plenty of time to purely focus on studying. I worked super hard in the days leading up to that break to get all my work done and to be in a position where I didn't have to worry about any work or any lingering work that might come. During this period of 2 weeks, I had it all planned out. What I'd be studying on what day, which day I'd be doing SBL, which day I'd be doing advanced tax, how long I'd study for, fitting in breaks in between, time for me to rest, recuperate, do things that I enjoy, such as going to the gym, walking my dog, and spending time with people around me. The one thing I didn't plan for, however, was that I would be hit with a crippling illness for an entire week. I was stuck with migraines, flu-like symptoms, and I was unable to study for my 2 exams for an entire week. That whole week was written off. Every time I even tried to study, my head would become so cloudy that I couldn't focus and I wasn't taking any information in. I could read lines and lines of a textbook, write a paragraph, but none of that information would ever stick in my head. So that first week of my holiday to study was absolutely wasted. A holiday wasted, and what accountant actually uses their full annual leave? And here I am, wasting a whole week of it. Sitting the 2 exams was hard. I felt like I didn't give myself enough opportunities to really study, with work being so busy leading up to the holiday and having that week of a hellish illness, taking the time off when I actually could study, giving myself only a week to prepare for 2 very intense exams. This is the point where I felt like I just couldn't keep going.
I'm done. No!
It felt hard being able to spend time relaxing, to mentally give myself a break when I knew that the time to study was so limited to just having a week. It's these points where a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of you, will struggle with the motivation to keep going and pushing.
You can do it!
Not because you're mentally strong enough, but mainly because with everything else, you forgot to put yourself first and it comes crashing down. During that week, I was so stressed with the exams. I was so hard on myself with my time, forcing myself hour upon hour to study as much as I could, cramming as much information into my brain as I could, doing as many past papers, doing as many exam-style questions, watching as many useful videos as I could. I was even spending time doing past papers while at the same time listening to videos from YouTube, which were helping me with my course. And even to the point where if I needed a mental break, I would maybe play a video game, but while I was playing the video game, I would be listening to a podcast or another lecture video in my ear at the same time. So I was never giving myself a switch off button. And I can tell you now, that was absolute hell. I went into the exams stressed, not very confident, overworked, and I felt like my brain wasn't operating at its full potential. There were aspects that I was studying leading up to the exam, which appeared on the exam, but because of this brain fog that I had from overworking myself, from overheating my systems, I wasn't able to recollect everything that I'd learned, everything that I'd read up, even though one of the questions in my SBL exam was word for word a question which I had been practicing. It was almost exactly the same script, almost the exact same information that I needed to recollect to answer this question, yet in the actual exam, because I'd overworked myself to the point of near failure, I wasn't able to bring out this information that I had.
I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left.
And after the exams, I still felt stressed. I wasn't confident of how they went. I've been sitting exams for most of my life, and I roughly can work out how many marks I'm getting by looking at the question and looking at my answer and using what I've done during the practice, during doing past papers, doing exam style questions, and ascertaining what type of marks am I looking at here. But because my brain was so foggy, I was so overworked, I just couldn't put my head around what I was reading, even though I'd already written it myself.
That doesn't make no sense. My man.
So I couldn't properly estimate what I would got. Now, you might be listening to this and listening to my story and thinking, how did he pass? If all of this is true, if he came into this overworked, overwhelmed, overstressed, how did he pass? Well, the fact is, I have no idea. I can only think that I overworked myself so hard that I lowered my potential, and I could have got more marks, but I was lucky to even pass. But pass I did. I sat the exams in December 2023, and on the 15th of January in 2024, 2 minutes past midnight, my phone pinged, and I was too scared to look.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
Because in my head, I was thinking to myself, if I can only pass one, I might not be fired from my course.
Fired. I beg your pardon?
If I can just pass one of the 2 exams, then maybe I won't be taken off the apprenticeship.
Fired.
If I failed both, maybe I would be. Maybe I would get fired. Maybe they would look at me and say, because he's failed 2 exams in one sitting, we don't think he can do this, and I might not be able to sit another exam. But luckily for me, I mentally motivated myself to open the text, and after a deep breath, I opened my phone, and there it read, I'd passed both exams. And with good grades as well.
Oh my god! Oh, I did it!
They weren't just scraping a pass with 51 or 52, they were in the 60s. Did I feel relieved? No. I didn't actually. I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning and I still didn't process what had happened, that I had finished passing. I was still in a daze. I'd gotten to the point of burnout where I was in this repeated cycle of passing exams, getting to study my next one, sitting exams, and it was like a cycle.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So me passing these, even though they were my final exams, even though this was it, my final step towards qualification, it didn't feel like anything to me. There was no fanfare. I didn't have a day dedicated to me, my success. There were no streamers, there was no cake, there was no party. I woke up and I went to work. And even at work, there was no grand fanfare, there was no parade, no cheering squad, shouting how amazing I was. It was just a regular day at work. I clocked in, did my work, filled in my timesheet, and I went home. I got a Chinese that night with my partner, and we sat and we ate it while she worked, and nothing felt special. My burnout had affected me so much that I wasn't able to celebrate my accomplishment. And it's only now that I'm recording this video and recording this and putting this together that I can actually look at the situation and say that when you focus so hard and so long on achieving something, you overlook aspects such as just celebrating, just enjoying the time, just making the most of the process and of the journey. And at the end of the day, a qualification is a bit of paper. The exams, the certificate, it's paper. What will make you more employable, what will get you the opportunities and jobs is your experience, is what you learn on the process at work. And it took me a while to realize that there is more to life than me passing my exams. And I can say that now that I've finished. You might be different. You might be in the midst of doing your exams, really struggling. And I would implore you to think about all the other things that you also have going on and make time for them. Make time to see your friends on the weekends. Make time for your hobbies, football, sports, whatever you do, make time for that, because burnout can not only affect you in your exams, in your studies, but even past the studies. Even when I'd finished my studies, I still felt burnout. And to this day, I still struggle with burnout. I'm still at a tipping point where if I work too hard, I get a sense of burnout because of how hard I pushed during this course. And it's a learning curve. We all learn. No matter if you finish your exams or not, we're constantly learning. So that would be my bit of advice for you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video and hope you guys enjoyed seeing a glimpse of my journey with the ACCA. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'm happy to answer any questions. Any other tips and hints, I'll be uploading them onto this channel, so make sure to subscribe, like the video, show that you care, and yeah, just remember, the most important thing that I learned during all this was to make time to enjoy the life around the exams, around the work, and to avoid any burnout. With that being said, I'm off to work as an accountant.